But I want to go here first because Reggie Miller. Now, this is so weird. Like Twitter, social media is so weird in this instance because, for one, Ben Simmons as a entertainer or star or whatever you want to call him, he's a famous guy for playing basketball, right?
Mhm.
He's not playing basketball right now, and in the NBA, a lot of these guys are, they're wearing designer clothes and they're trying to stand out in their fits. And in this scenario, you have Simmons who hasn't played, and his whole mentality is like, just kind of want to get better. I don't want to be the center of attention. And he wears what he wore to the game, and they're using it as ammo against him because he was going to try to come back for Game 4, and he says he can't play. Reggie Miller says, "Come on, man, out for Game 4 when it was rumored you're going to make your debut." This dude has zero competitive fire. I feel like that is a little unfair because there is an injury involved.
I mean,
Okay, well, let's talk about it though, because we're coming from two different perspectives. Because my perspective is, I wouldn't have said that he was coming back because what is his main problem? He mentally, it's hard. He's having some trouble, right? He's having trouble with the mental aspect and the pressure and the moment. Like that is something that he is having a hard time with. You know who else had a hard time with that today is a guy who is one of the greatest minds in the NBA, Andre. Like Andre was bad today. This is maybe the worst I've ever seen him play. And he is old guy Andre, but I sort of feel like the same thing. Like he's got the same thing as Ben Simmons in some situations where he's got a wide, like there's no one within 10 feet of him and he doesn't want to shoot that three and they know it. And the more he doesn't shoot that three, I'm sure the more it gets in his head. And so for Ben Simmons, why would you come back in Game 4 of the playoffs when this is the biggest? Like you want to get those reps in when it's the regular season and there's not as much pressure. And Boston, what's Boston going to do? They're going to immediately foul him and send him to the free throw line. Like I just felt it was probably a mistake to bring him back now. And now they made that announcement. And now he said that he's still hurting. And everyone's going at him. What do you think?
I just think there's like more context where it, like, if you said that, you said you don't think Ben Simmons wants to be the center of attention, but then goes and wears all the outfits.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
the ills of social media, right? In some instances, all the hate that he gets from social media probably depresses him in a way. But on the other end, he knows that in order for him to make as much money as he needs to be the center of attention. It's like this weird pull with how that stuff works.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, you grew up in this era of social media, but I know, on Twitter, I block a lot of people on Twitter because if there's like a troll who takes a shot at me and it's unfair, I immediately block them because it's like my Twitter feed, right? Why would I choose to be frustrated at something when I could just block that person?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's fair criticism, I will go back and forth with somebody. But so I choose to just not see the negativity. I don't go to read comments on threads if it is my show, just because the positive stuff is almost as fake as the negative stuff sometimes. And if you let that change your your levels of I don't know what the dopamine or whatever all that stuff is, the psychological aspect and the emotional aspect of all that stuff. It's both, you're up for some no real reason and then you're down for no real reason. So you grew up with social media sort of being a part of your life. What do you think about the negativity that you may get from somebody who's listened to your podcast?
I think it's definitely a generational thing. The kudos to you that you're just able to quickly Kawakami and just get rid of them right off the feed.
Well, but Kawakami gets rid of them and then flexes on them. I don't even flex on them. I just block them and move on.
I think Shea Serrano is also a flex on them sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, the BAM pod literally just got their first hater yesterday. Obi made a take on how the Warriors are a hypothetical team, and this guy made a 10-minute YouTube video completely bashing Obi and then making unfair statements that the BAM does not thinks they're better than their fans because we don't reply to the comments that the fans make, and when really it's just me, Obi, and Max, the people who are the hosts of the podcast, that are the ones making the comments. So I mean, at first I was a little mad at that. And then like I was like, okay, how do we use this to our advantage? And we literally just cooked up like a quick little video on responding and hopefully getting some traction out of that. So we haven't gotten like me personally, even like through social media, I haven't seen enough. I haven't really gotten any like hate like that to actually tell you what I would realistically do. So I don't know on that end. I mean, it's so easy to say like, look, Ben Simmons, you're making $30 million a year. If I was making $30 million a year, I would just turn off my phone and not look at that stuff but I get it. I just think that for Ben, I mean, there's either been so much misreporting or there's always just so much with that guy. It's like in the middle of the season or in the beginning of the season, like we were done talking about Kyrie and Ben Simmons. It was just taking up too much of our time, and it was just like pointless talking about these guys because we didn't know. And then he gets traded to Brooklyn. He gets what he wants. He gets out of Philly. And then there's still like, okay, now he's got to ramp up and come back. He hasn't played basketball forever. And now this back thing. And what do I think about that? I did say on our basketball podcast, and I guess I'm kind of I need to start putting these takes on Twitter. I'm going to send this to you. Before the playoffs started, I said, what if it gets to game 4 or 5 when Ben Simmons is supposed to come back? And he's like, dude, we're like down 3-0 or down 3-1. Like, why would I even come back and risk this? And I said, that's more of a knock to his like competitive edge.
Yeah.
And
he should want to come back.
Right. That's what I thought. I'm going to
help them
because I'm great. But but I don't know. He just does these things where I think he dunks. He's like he points at Nick Friedel, right? He points at Nick Friedel and he says, "Yo, film this. Like, you see this?" And he just does a dunk. Like he's teasing this comeback. I just think that this would have been a good thing for him to come back and show that like give the Nets fans a little something to cheer for. You know, give them something to look forward to. It could be worse. It could be that they're in Boston and he has to come back and then has to face the noise like Kyrie has been having to do. But like we know Ben Simmons doesn't like it as much. Like I think it would have been better for it's a home game. I mean, they're gonna send him to the line probably, but I just think that I think he should come back, and I think it is a knock on his competitive edge because I don't think his back is sore. I just think he saw them lose game 3.
So this is going to be an interesting experiment in a sense because we have seen situations where an injury is the main reason why someone can't play or they're not comfortable, they're not confident in their play. But this is an injury, and this is a mental thing, sort of all in one. And I'm sure they're relating to each other as far as his decision making. Does he want to go in there because he knows that the second he jumps on the court, he is the immediate center of attention? And is he going to be comfortable going out there knowing that he doesn't feel 100%? Or the flip side, does he make it known that he's not 100%? So thus, if he doesn't succeed, he can say, yeah, I tried, but I was too hurt. And you could see that I just wasn't ready. I tried so hard to help my team, but it just wasn't working. I think if he would have tried that tact, Reggie Miller, instead of writing what he wrote, he would have said, he's just trying to be, cater to his followers and trying to be a hero. And he didn't really it's going to be no matter what Ben Simmons does, it's a lose-lose, which is unfortunate because he's such a talented guy, but it does tell you that in this day and age, and I'm sure in every day and age, it's not just this day and age, there's more attention because of social media. But if you de-weaponize social media, like a lot of these guys are really good at. Remember LeBron, what would LeBron call it? 0 dark 30. And he would just like completely get off of social media. Ben
Simmons, he needs that, but full time.
Yeah, he needs 0 dark 30. But when you want to date Kardashians and stuff, like that's kind of part of the game, right? Like it's part of being a celebrity. And the thing that I will never give him crap for is trying to turn his celebrity into making as much money as humanly possible, because I think you had turned me on to the Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner podcast. Evan Turner coming into the NBA was the college player of the year and, all these crazy accolades, but when he wasn't the flashiest guy, right? He wasn't like he was more of like a like a big guard in a sense. Like his game was about making people better. Not he wasn't going to score a bunch. I think he was the number 2 pick in the draft, whatever year he came out. But he was talking about how when he signed his shoe deal, he bought into the equity piece of it. The shoe deal was with Linning. Is it a Chinese
Is
shoe
that
brand?
the Dwayne Wade
Dwayne Wade,
one?
yeah.
Lining, something like that.
Yeah. So he was saying that part of his shoe deal was getting equity in the company. So thus, if the company succeeded, the shares that he got would grow.
Mhm.
But if the company didn't succeed, then the shares that he got would be worthless. So he took the long term benefit possibility over the short term money. And I thought it was so smart because you can come into the NBA and think you're going to be like this, this is going to go on for 20 years. I'm going to play in the league for 20 years. I'm going to make all this money for 20 years. I don't have to think about that. But Evan Turner, who's a college player of the year, he thought that way. And he had a nice career. I'm sure he played multiple years in the NBA, but even he knew, I need to invest and I need to be able to put money away and make these smart deals. Same thing with guys like Ben Simmons. What if Ben Simmons never plays basketball another day, right? What if his entire career is over? The thing that makes him happy is over. He's hopefully made some good investments, bet on himself. There's a celebrity aspect to it. He's created a few different ways to make money for himself. So I will never discount when people do that, because that is part of the game today, which is,
Mhm.
you need to continue to make money throughout your marketable years.
I just I just don't want to give him like the benefit of the doubt until I see him on a court and I see him in a presser and I see him face a little bit of the noise. I just need to see it, and I don't think I'm going to see it in 2 days or tomorrow. I think,
Well,
yeah.
well, okay, so I don't even know if it's benefit of the doubt, because we are just, we're fans, but we're critics as well. I almost feel like you should just root for him, right? Like you want if you want to see somebody overcome something, the way to do it is to root for him and kind of like just be in his corner and be like, okay, like whenever he's ready, he's ready. I don't like not understanding someone's position, not being in their shoes. For Reggie Miller to say what he did, Reggie Miller is an NBA All-Star. He knows what it takes to do it, right? So he's got a little bit of more oomph in his statement than if we said it. I what I want to see is I want to see the guy be healthy and confident, because he is such a talent and he's never going to be a shooter. I don't think he's ever going to be a shooter, but I think he can still play and I think he can still help his basketball team win. But there's a mental piece of this that is kind of still under commented about, that we don't know enough about. And I think in 20 years we'll look at this as like kind of like a landmark thing and going like, oh, Ben Simmons, it was like multiple things as to the reason why this happened. But
Yeah, I just think
what do you think about Zion? I mean, it's not the same thing, right? But like if I'm a fan of the player, I feel like I would feel a little bit more okay with Ben's situation than with Zion, because
do we
Zion's
even know
situation,
Zion's situation?
Zion's situation seems like it's completely based on, his lifestyle and his body and who knows, maybe he's investing $1 million in his body like LeBron is. But there's I feel like fans are very quickly saying like, oh yeah, we're okay with Zion, but we're not okay with Ben.
Uh, I don't know the Zion situation as a whole, because I feel like we've heard so much different things. It just seems like him and the team is not on par or they're not on the same page about his health.
Mm-hmm.
But this Ben thing is tricky because I don't want to like discount someone's mental if they're going through something mentally. Like obviously it's always valid and they shouldn't have to explain as to what's going on. But as a fan, as someone who watches the NBA, I'm spending all my time covering what he's doing. Like I would love to know. And
Yeah.
I guess it's not our place, but like I guess uh I don't know. Imagine would you have the same compassion and the same
Empathy.
empathy, I guess, if it was this Warrior team and we were just like right there, right? Like everything we're seeing right there, everything we're seeing right now. Like imagine if it was like I don't even know if I can imagine if it was Draymond. It would just never be Draymond.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, just
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole maybe. Like we
Because he's
needed him
young.
to make that
Yeah.
like Jordan Poole is essentially the difference between us going all the way or us being second or third round exits, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be frustrating for the Brooklyn Nets fan base.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do get it. I guess just that little wild card piece, which is the mental thing for him and the emotional thing for him. We just don't know enough about it because you can't measure it, right? You can't. It's not. There's no shooting percentage to how he's feeling or if he's depressed or how much of this is him not being able to stay away from his phone and those things. Like I said, in 20 years we'll know a lot more, but.